All right. You should be up and live streaming. Let me verify. Yes, indeed. We're up and live streaming. All right. We'll call to order this meeting of the Tecumseh Board of Education for April 13th, 2020. Welcome to our first virtual meeting. And please join us for the Pledge of Allegiance read by Mr. John Benzing. Let me get that up on the screen for you. All right. John, you ready?
Yep.
Go ahead.
I pledge allegiance.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of
United States
the
of
United
America,
States of America,
to the republic
to the republic for which it stands, one nation,
one nation,
under God, indivisible, liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you much. First thing, we have our public comment, which I did not have anyone register for public comment. So we'll move on to the revisions and approval of agenda. Does anybody have a revision, or can I get a motion to approve the agenda?
I hereby make a motion to approve the agenda as is.
support,
Roll call. Would everyone use the yes, no buttons in their participants panel to vote, please?
Where's it at?
ah,
There it is.
Looks like the vote is unanimous. Agenda is approved as written. First thing on our agenda, our scheduled reports. We have our monthly finance report. Nikki is not with us to present. You all received it. Are there any questions about it, or does Mr. Hilderly have anything to add?
I don't. She and I talked briefly about it, but I told her that if there were any questions that you can email them to both she and I, and we'll get it figured out.
All right. Next up on the agenda, discussion items. First thing, Rick, you have the Apogee contract to present.
Right. It's 3 or 4 pages back in your packet. We started to present this what seems like 2 years ago, but it was actually just last February. And we had a presentation from a representative of their company that was attended by Kevin and Tim, answered lots of our questions, and satisfied that group, and included the tech folks, and I think Greg Lewis was there. So President Johnson and I talked about the need to get that moving forward, to develop not only our app, but our web page. And because the initial expenditure was under the $10,000 threshold, then I approved the setup expenditure. Moving forward, the board will have the opportunity to view the expense annually as part of the budget proposal each year.
All right. Any questions? Discussion? All right, second item, we have gifts and donations. Mr. Hilderly?
Yeah, we have a couple one from the Taylor Agency of Southern Michigan and then the Tecumseh Herald, both who made donations to the After Prom Committee. All I can say about that is that we're not very certain what will happen with prom. But if we are able to have a prom at the scheduled date or at a date in the future, the After Prom Committee will follow it and have an activity for students. And if it just happens that we're not able to piece it together, the After Prom Committee will hold on to these funds until next year if that's what we have to do. And then there was also a donation for the high school robotics team, which is also at this time not participating in anything, but that money will be deposited into their account for future use. And we thank all three groups for their donations.
Thank you, Rick. We have action items next on our list. We have a motion, please, for the acceptance of the gifts.
I hereby move to accept with thanks the following gifts and donations to TPS. $100 from the Tecumseh Herald and $100 from the Taylor for After Prom, and $400 from the Don Martin family for robotics.
Second.
All right. Could I get a vote on that, please? All right. Suzanne?
Yes. I
Did
voted.
you vote on it?
I did. I
Was it
thought I did.
There it is.
Okay.
All
That's
right,
not
thank you.
right, I
That
guess.
is a unanimous vote. The gifts are accepted. Next action item is overnight trip with students to Disney World, April 16th to 21st, 2021. Could I get a motion, please?
We skipped over that one in our motions, it appears. So I hereby make a motion that we accept the Disney World trip from April 16th through the 21st of 2021.
Support.
All right, vote please. Technical note, if you don't turn off the green check and you hit it again, it will turn it off.
Yeah, we should probably clear that after every vote.
We probably should. We have Suzanne.
Gotta vote again.
There we are. The vote is unanimous to approve the overnight trip to Disney World, April 16th to 21st, 2021. Next action item, could I get a motion regarding the approval of board policies? These are the policies that we reviewed 6 weeks ago, I believe, maybe 7. This includes all the anti-harassment, non-discrimination policies, and the board bylaws.
I hereby move to approve the following board policies and bylaws. Numbers 1422, 1622, 2260, 3122, 3362, 4122, 4362, 5517, and 5517.02. Non-discrimination and equal opportunity employment, anti-harassment, non-discrimination, and access to equal education opportunity and sexual violence. Also move that we approve a board bylaws 0000 series.
Support.
All right, vote please. Vote is unanimous. We are approved the bylaws and the updated board policies. Lastly, we have the approval of the Apogee contract. Could I get a motion, please?
I hear, sorry,
Go ahead.
I hereby move to authorize administration to proceed with contracting with Apogee for the district web design and development of a district app for TPS.
Support.
Vote, please.
So you actually have to click it again after you're done voting to get it to get the circles
Correct,
around it.
Suzanne. Correct. We have a unanimous vote. The contract with Apogee is approved. District business is up next. Superintendent's report. Mr. Hilderly?
Really nothing going on. Gosh, I don't know what would be interesting to hear about. Well, let's talk about this COVID-19 update. Obviously, the circumstances in the state of Michigan, as around the country and around the world, are that we're in the middle of this pandemic, and as a result, students in our state have been put out of school. And last 2 weeks ago, a little less than 2 weeks ago, MDE came out with a format for filling out a continuity of learning plan. The administrative team and I worked directly with teachers, basically in a pyramiding process. Leaders from each grade level and each department were invited to be a part of the discussion. They took notes from that discussion, from those discussions, and communicated with people in their grade levels or in their departments. Came back to the administration, and we formulated actually two things at the same time. You have the document that is required by the state of Michigan to be approved through the LISD, and we created that document and have received approval from the LISD. That document basically covers how the district will approach teaching and learning, and our plan is in the form of a hybrid plan. There'll be some technology provided, and there'll be some elements of hard copy on paper resources based on what each family can take in. We have pledged to be mindful of their circumstances. And when I say that, I don't mean just specifically whether or not they have technology. What we're finding out through this process, and possibly even board members, is just how hard it is to do everything from home. And adding the responsibility to families of trying to engage in a learning process is something that we want to be mindful of. So we're trying to be careful with just figuring out how much the family load can handle in terms of adding this to their plate, while most families are sequestered together, and maybe parents are attempting to work, and there may not be as many devices or strong enough signal to support it. We're just trying to be careful to spread things out over time so that we don't overwhelm folks. We want to really pay attention to their social emotional well-being and do check-ins on families, either through the technological approaches or even just simple phone calls. And then lastly, we're going to try to keep things simple. We'll start small, and we'll let it increase over time as we figure that families have the capacity to handle what it is that we want them to have. There's a grading protocol for students in 4 credit classes at the high school or possibly at one of the STEAM centers. We do have some 7th and 8th graders who are involved in 4-credit classes. So we have a grading protocol. Basically, the executive order called for the grading to be based on what was in the books as of the 11th of March. And if somebody was not on track to graduate or not on track to pass a class, we need to come up with a way for those people to earn credit in those classes. So we have devised that plan, and it'll be available for public consumption, along with the launching of all of the resources that we're going to provide. That will come out tomorrow. I'll have a message coming out to the district at 1 o'clock in the afternoon that will, announce the framework of our plan, and then lead folks to our website. It will also advise them if they plan to engage offline, that those resources will be provided at our lunch pickup locations and times on Tuesdays and Thursdays during the week. So I just want to say, I've sat in a lot of these formats, a lot of meetings with many of our teachers and all of our administrators in the last 10 days. And their focus and their attention to the details in this plan have been wonderful. And I think that we have something in mind that families can handle and that they will appreciate, that will keep the skills of our students sharp until we are able to get back together again safely. So I can report that process sort of ends with tomorrow's notification, but it also will launch into this next phase, which will be interacting with families. So staff will begin to reach out to the families and try to get a handle on who needs what materials, what supplies, what technology devices they may require from us. One of the things that I pointed out in the plan, because we have been asked about this from time to time, but we've tried to let people know that under the executive order, we still don't have a process for letting people into the building to clean out lockers or desks. We're going to wait on that until the social distancing requirements start to relax a little bit, possibly at the beginning of May. We've assured people that their items are safe and secure. We've made some exceptions to that if it had to do with health and safety needs related to medication that might be in our possession. But by and large, we just have not let people into the building to retrieve those things, but we will. We plan to, and we know that will be coming soon. So those are the overall details of how the plan has come together. Again, it's an approved plan that the ISD made 4 or 5 suggestions about edits, gave us some direction, especially on the budgetary process. We made some pretty general statements in our plan, and they asked for some specific dollar amounts. So Terry and I edited the plan today, and I have resubmitted that for their review. But regardless, the plan has been approved and will be moved on to the state for recording with the state of Michigan. So if you have any thoughts or questions about that, I can answer those at this time.
Hey, Rick.
Yes, sir.
So would it be possible for us to put a hyperlink on the website for people who need supplies and computers? I think we should probably update our sign out for our Chromebooks for this process, just so we get them back. If we don't get them back, we've got some type of mechanism to charge the parents.
Greg Lewis and Devin are working on the process of how they're going to record that, because we do have, we're going to be sending some money out the out the door by providing these devices. We have put in the budgetary portion of our plan replacement costs using the economic stimulus money that'll be coming our way through our Title II allocation. So if we do have some attrition, we'll have some way to recoup it. But like I said, Greg and Devin are devising that that plan for recording who gets what and when it's due back.
Yeah, that was the second part of my question is there funding out there to purchase additional Chromebooks? And it sounds like there is.
Yeah, we want to make sure that the money is secured before we make the expenditure. So we're approaching it as a replacement cost. But if the money comes through sooner rather than later and we're able to get those machines, quicker than I imagine that we will, we could get those in and put them in the hands of students. Now, we have committed to allowing one item of technology or one device per family. And we currently provide a device for all 7th through 12th graders. So if it's a home that doesn't already have a 7th through 12th grader, and they are in need of a device in order to interact with this plan, we will have them sign one out. So hopefully under those parameters, we should be able to provide enough for the people who need them.
We may also want to see if there's any private grants out there that are providing technology as well.
Mm-hmm. Okay, yeah, we can look into that. We were given some flexibility today to use some of the unspent money of the career prep grant, which was around $15,000. That'll help us defray some of these costs as well.
I know you had posted some of this on Facebook the other, excuse me. I'm curious, have you gotten, what kind of feedback you've gotten directly? Has parents reached out to you? Are they interested? How are they feeling about this?
I haven't had any contact through email in bulk. I've had conversations with a couple of families, mostly related to how it affects their high schooler in terms of their grade.
Right.
I gave them some general answers, like I gave them general answers on the Facebook page. But now, starting tomorrow, that high school document that will have all of the questions answered in terms of the grading protocol, that'll be available to everyone. So, like I said, there were a few families interested in that at the time of the post. But it'll be out there for everybody's consumption tomorrow around lunchtime.
I just wasn't sure if you were inundated right after that. So I was curious.
No, that was more or less a testing of the waters. I'm not a Facebooker myself, so I don't know exactly how many people interact with our page actively. So I wasn't sure if I should call the interaction that we had light or heavy. There were about 10 people who generated about 60 comments. So, and in one long conversation, it was actually two individuals talking to each other on our page about something different.
That happened.
Yeah, I mean, I wouldn't say that it was overwhelming, but some of the questions I think needed to be addressed to a greater audience, and those documents, again, will be available on the webpage tomorrow, and a Blackboard alert going out to the district announcing that those resources are available. So week one will be mostly information gathering on our part. We're asking the teachers to reach out to their homerooms and just start to have conversations with people about what they need and what they can expect. And then we have a process in development right now for distributing technology needs, and we'll continue to provide lunch, and we'll add supplies, school supplies to those lunch pickup locations for families who need any of those supplies as a result of the plan.
So are the high school kids then, are they going to be getting grades for credit or?
Yeah, they'll have, I guess, I think it's three choices. They can, as of the 11th of March, they can accept the letter grade that they have as of that point. And that grade can be entered into their transcript. They can choose, if they didn't like the grade and they don't really want the grade to impact their overall GPA, they can just accept an S or a satisfactory for credit. That will not impact their GPA, but the S will go on their transcript. And I'm hearing, and I'm trying to communicate with the person at the ISD, her name is Tina Bowers, who does these sorts of things. But I'd like to have it indicate, just for the future, so that there's no question, something like satisfactory COVID. And I'm hearing that the districts are indicating that on transcripts, so that down the road people kind of understand, oh yeah, that was the second semester of 2020, and there are special circumstances around those grading protocols. The third choice that students would have, if they really want a letter grade, would be at the end of this continuity of learning plan, we will offer them the opportunity to take a summer school course, which would be the whole program that they would have gotten. And normally we charge for that, but we would offer that to students who would like to have the full learning experience for the full grade over the summer. We just can't manage summer school at the same time that we're trying to manage this continuity of learning plan. So
Right.
it will be offered as it normally would in the summer for 7 weeks for students who would like the letter grade, but they're not happy with the letter grade that they have now. They'll still have the opportunity to earn the grade that they would like.
So that's for the 9 weeks, or is that for the whole semester?
That's for the semester.
So, and the state's still going to give them credit for that semester?
Yes, yeah, the governor's recommendation is pretty clear on the fact that students who are on track will roll up to the next year. Graduates who aren't on track will be given the opportunity to get on track with a little bit of extra work, and they can still graduate. And we're extending that offer to students at the high school who are below passing now in a 4-credit class. If they're currently not passing, we're going to extend the time for which they can do some makeup work to get themselves to passing. Those students, however, will have to agree to take a credit, no credit score.
Okay.
So this next 9 weeks there is no grade for this next 9 weeks.
There is no grade. That is something that's called out in the executive order, that consequences for not participating during this continuity of learning plan are not to be imposed against anybody. So if people choose not to engage in the learning opportunities, there's no recourse. There's no penalty for them. Therefore, the grade books are closed as of the 11th, and credit for the whole semester is based on that grade.
This is for all grades?
This is for high school 4-credit classes. For the K-8 population and anything that's not a high school credit, their transcript will be marked with an S for satisfactory, and they will be promoted to the next grade level.
So just to
Yep.
clarify, the executive order made it very clear that if someone does not participate or cannot participate in whatever education exists from March 11th on, they are still going to pass. They're still going to get credit for the class. You can't possibly give them 0 credit for it, so they have to repeat it, right?
Right.
Okay.
And will we be using the Alex program from grades 6 through 12, the math program at all, do you know, or?
Yeah, Alex is one of the things that we will provide as an opportunity for anybody to interact with and try to progress through.
Okay.
Rick, do we have the Alex program available to the elementary kids as well?
Only goes down to grade 6.
Okay,
I believe the elementary schools are using some online math programs, though, that for their grade level would probably suffice for us.
Yeah, and I wouldn't, if I venture to guess, to compare what the K-5 folks are using and compare it to Alex, I would be inaccurate. But yes, there are some online resources, especially in math and reading, that are going to be utilized in the lower levels as well.
Is the Alex program being used pretty good now?
Yeah, I think that the people 6, 12 are pretty happy with it.
All right. Any other discussion regarding the COVID?
We'll in the communication that goes out tomorrow, we sort of indicate that we know that we're going to learn through this process what works and what doesn't, and we'll be flexible in terms of whether we've provided enough or not enough. We're trying to keep a low floor and a high ceiling to give a variety of different experiences to our students. So we'll adjust over time and report to the board when we have meetings, just what the feedback is.
I think the other thing that we should look at going forward, especially for the fall, is, making sure that everybody in the county knows about our virtual online programs, because I'm sure there's going to be a lot of kids and a lot of parents who aren't going to want to send their kids necessarily back to the classroom in the fall. And I think that we've got the most robust system in the county. We need to advertise that and make sure we've got the staff and the resources to handle that.
Right, and in one of my recent updates, I informed you that we have elevated Greg Dolson to the director of virtual learning as an administrative role. I think that program is expanding and has the potential to continue to expand to the point where I really need his expertise overseeing that as a member of the administration. And that's one of the things that we'll be talking more about with Greg and with his leadership to, as you say, make sure that folks around the area know that we have that capability. Okay, my next item is the district reorganization. I've briefed the buildings about this. I have made comments in my updates to you about it. Essentially, right now, our feeling is that there's no reason to decide as of April 13th just exactly what we're going to do with reorganization. The original plan was to allow some time shortly after the end of the school year for individuals to box things up and get us ready to move. And Greg and Tom had a plan to begin moving the second week of June, and then being done around the second week of July, give or take a week either way. But we still could do that if things turn out to be feasible. Right now we would be speculating just how safe it is and can we and should we require people in the buildings to do boxing of classrooms. Eventually we're going to get people into classrooms to close things up anyway. So if we can do that safely under the guidelines, and packing things up still seems feasible, and moving things still looks like we can do it, then I'll make that recommendation. But as we sit here in April and wait, as with most things, I just can't make a recommendation on exactly what that looks like. Nikki and I have talked about the budgetary aspect of things, and that also plays a factor because we have some things that we need to do in putting students and staff back in the middle school, where some staff would have to be added back to run the program as it was in the past. So budget feasibility also plays a role in that, and because we don't have a lot of information from the legislature about how things look for next year, that's another decision-making point that we need before we can move forward. So the next meeting or two, we'll have to get serious about it, but as of tonight, I don't have a recommendation on the reconfiguration plan.
Rick, I think that one of the things that we should look at this summer is reaching out to all of our families to see who's actually considering coming back, who's going to be coming back, because I think that's going to be the most difficult thing with the new budget and with the reconfiguration, is knowing how many students we're actually going to have. So if we could somehow get the information out to the community to, give us feedback on students coming back, I think that would be very helpful for the planning and staffing and resources.
Yeah, that'll be interesting, John. I know what you're talking about, that there are those who, until we have some more positive numbers in terms of new cases or treatment or some sort of vaccine, and there's going to be people who are not comfortable with getting kids back together. So we'll see. We're waiting and waiting and waiting in lots of ways, and trying to figure out our head count is also something that we'll have to try to figure out how we can do that.
Yeah, just some food for thought of, it'd be outside the norm of reaching out to families to see who's coming back. But I think, with everything that's going on, the community would understand that and, be receptive to it.
Yeah. Okay. Good thought. The Building Futures Committee, we had some nice momentum moving into the work that we wanted to do with the Futures Committee to talk about our facility needs in the district. And then that's just one of the casualties of this pandemic. Getting people together has not been something that we've been able to do. So we have postponed those meeting dates. It was originally planned to begin tomorrow, but we have put that off later in May, and scattered the dates now through May, June, August, and September, so that we can still meet the deadlines that are required by any recommendation that they might make. So that committee is in a holding pattern, waiting to see how to move forward. We could move forward in a process like this in a virtual environment, so that stands as a possibility as well. But time-wise, we had the ability to postpone things and kind of wait and see how we can do it. And if things relax a little bit and we could use a big room like the cafetorium and spread people out, but still have some interaction, we may do those things. But if it doesn't become possible, then we'll have to figure out something else. And then lastly, the superintendent's 100-day entry plan, 100 days passed a while a while back, and I provided the document for you electronically. No real need unless you request to go through each of the goals. But I think I'll just, see what questions you have. All I can say about it is, at the end of the statement, when I made this document and look forward to my report, was just very excited to report about just how much has changed in the district in the last few months. Really feel like things were gaining a strong momentum before we went into this in March. So one of the many reasons that it's kind of disappointing to see us in this holding pattern, because the staff was really starting to rally and become positive and feel good about the direction that we were moving in. So I'm proud of those things. I continue to be proud of the way that our staff is working together, especially as we are in very much uncertainty these days. People come to the table very eager and very excited to want to be a part of what we're going to do next. And there's a lot of positivity in what could be a very negative situation currently. But yeah, we rolled through some tough times, I know, here in Tecumseh, but we were on the upswing, and we're ready to continue that swing in the positive direction. So like I said, you've had the plan for a few weeks. If there are any parts of it that you want to ask questions of, either now or later on when you think of it, we can talk about some of those now, and then if you come up with something else, I'll give everybody an answer later. All right, that's all I have, Kevin.
All right, next on our agenda, the consent
Kevin.
agenda.
Kevin,
Yes.
one item. Rick, how are we doing on negotiations with the union? Have you guys had any discussions at all, or?
We haven't begun any discussions. I've reached out to them, and we've just kind of been swamped with creating. The MEA has to create letters of agreement for all of the districts where they represent their staff because of the change in the way that we're delivering instruction. So their people have just been bogged down in dealing with all of the agreements that they've had. So right now we still have our offer out there to begin to discuss things, but the MEA seems to be very busy.
Would it be advantageous maybe just to extend the contract for a year like you and I spoke about, or?
Yeah, I would like to offer them that once we get to the table to, just extend the agreement, but I haven't been able to officially make that offer because we just can't, they can't find the time, I guess. And I understand why, they're a statewide organization that are dealing with lots of details and lots of districts, much bigger than our own. So I know that they want to get together. I have a TEA meeting with John and Jennifer on Thursday this week, and we'll try again to figure out a date when we can get together and probably meet in this format and have a conversation.
Okay.
All
Okay.
right, up next is our consent agenda, which includes the minutes from our regular board meeting on March 9th, the minutes from our emergency meeting of March 13th, and our March monthly check registry. Can I get a motion to approve that, please?
I hereby move to approve the consent agenda, which includes the following items: minutes from the regular board meeting, March of 2020, minutes from the emergency board meeting of March 13, 2020, and the March monthly check registry.
Or
I would like to do a roll call vote. I got a text that the votes are not showing up for individuals, so we'll do a quick roll call vote. Becky,
Aye.
Mike,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Aye.
Milt,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
and Kevin. Aye. Consent agenda approved unanimously. Item scheduled for the next agenda. Well, that's mysteriously vacant on my sheet. Rick, do you have the list of items for the next agenda or not yet?
No, not yet. We'll have to see
Cross
how
that
things,
bridge.
how things happen here before we decide. This is an April meeting, so we can decide at a later date if we need to have the second April meeting. Legally, we're required to have one per month. And if the agenda looks small and we can carry things over, we may just do it 1st of May.
Kevin,
All right. Say again.
do we need to redo the votes to do a roll call for each one?
All the votes previous were unanimous, so every board member voted yes on it. I think that will suffice.
Okay.
Next is our second public comment, which we had nobody register for the second public comment. So we'll move on to board member comments and discussion.
Hey, Kevin, when we had talked last week about these Zoom meetings, first of all, I think this went great. So let me just throw that out there. But I think you said you had the ability to mute everyone during the meeting. And then if we wanted to talk, we could raise our hand and you can unmute us. Is that the case?
That is true. I went with everybody unmuted because I was able to lock the meeting. We had no public comments. I didn't have to allow anybody in from a waiting room to the meeting to make public comment. So I was able to lock it and not worry about admitting people further into the meeting. It worked out pretty well this way, I think. On my end, it seemed to. The only danger there is if I have to admit other people to the meeting, I'll want it a little bit more secure, but I think it worked out pretty well this way.
Okay, the only reason I say that is because from time to time, I think our microphones pick up a lot of background noise. So from time to time, on my end at least, there was a bit of background noise. So just a thought.
Okay. Fair thought?
I agree. There was a lot of background. I mean, not a lot, but quite a bit.
All right.
I thought it went
Duly
well.
noted.
I was glad to see all of you.
Duly
glad
noted
you're
for
all
the next
healthy.
meeting. Yes, indeed. For the next meeting, we may try it with everyone muted and raise your hand. It'll add some time to it and the meeting will be a little bit more cumbersome, but if you prefer it that way, by all means, we can do it that way to try to cut down on background noise. Next, we have a closed session tonight to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute, specifically attorney-client privileged information. Could I get a motion to adjourn to closed session, please?
I move to adjourn to closed session to consider material exempt from discussion or disclosure by state or federal statute, attorney-client privilege information.
Second.
Roll call. Kevin. Aye. Tim.
Aye.
John.
Aye.
Milt.
Aye.
Suzanne.
Aye.
Mike.
Aye.
Becky.
Aye.
Motion passes. We are adjourned to closed session at 7:51 p.m. Please Please turn your cameras off. I will mute all of your microphones. Don't worry about it, Mike. I'll get it on my end.
I've got,
back live?
We are live, yes.
Good job, everybody.
Hey, Kevin, you got mine on? Kevin, can you hear me?
Yep, I hear you.
Yeah, I have no picture here, but I can see all you guys.
Go in the upper right-hand corner under the bubbles and click on Start Video.
Okay.
Mine's down on the bottom left.
Oh, Becky and John are coming back in here.
I figured it out, Mike. You can too.
No, I don't think so. Go ahead. I can see y'all.
You look better that way anyway, Mike.
Yeah, Kevin, I don't know if as the controller, if you can turn his camera on remote, but I know I
could.
can.
I can ask him to start it. That's it.
Okay.
That worked.
That,
All you had to do is ask.
You're just waiting for a please.
all right, hang on just a minute. Let me make sure we are live streaming. Devin, are we live streaming?
You are live streaming, sir.
Hi,
All
Devin.
right, thank you very much.
Good evening.
The time is now 8:27 p.m. and we are back in open session. Can we get a motion, please?
I hereby accept and approve the settlement agreement and release included the resignation of a district tenured staff effective December 31st, 2020.
Support.
Roll call, Mike,
Aye.
John,
Aye.
Becky,
Aye.
Tim,
Aye.
Suzanne,
Aye.
Milt,
Aye.
and Kevin. Aye. Accepted, unanimous vote. That brings us to our adjournment for tonight. Can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
Yes.
So moved.
I need to say one thing. Milt, if you just put the lamp a little farther down, it would look like a hat.
Yeah, a proper party hat.
Yes.
It's a party hat.
Just
All
one
right.
other piece of information for everyone. If you go onto our website and access the board docs for the policy and just type the word video as a keyword, you'll get about 6 different hits in our policy manual where that topic is covered. So if you're interested in viewing that, that's the best way to search it.
Thank you.
Thank you. All right. With that, can I get a motion to adjourn, please?
So
So
moved.
moved.
All right, who called it?
Hat man.
How about I'll support?
There
All
you
right.
go. All in favor, say aye.
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 Aye. Meeting is adjourned at 8:29 p.m. Thank
All
you
right,
all.
we'll double up on cookies when we can get back together.
Thank you.
Might be quadruple up before we're done here.
Yeah, who knows?
All right.
Nice
Talk to
job,
y'all
Kevin.
later.
Good night, folks.
Thanks, Devin.
Bye-bye.
Aye.
Thank you, Devin.
Aye.
You're welcome. Good night.
Good night. Good night.